Well, howdy there, Internet people. It's Belle again. So today, we're going to talk about Trump forgetting the first rule with his moves with the Senate. Trump is reportedly going all in on his nominations, to the point that he's personally calling senators who won't commit to backing his picks and applying a little bit of pressure. It's something that flies in the face of the first rule of command, or the first rule of leadership, depending on when you heard it. Legend says the first rule originated with General Douglas MacArthur while providing command advice to younger officers. Never give an order that can't be obeyed. Another version is never give an order that won't be obeyed. And still another is never give an order that you know won't be obeyed. From a command setting, these all mean the same thing. The reason this rule exists is because if you give an order that won't be obeyed, it undermines your leadership, commands, and decisions in the future. Trump is starting an unneeded direct confrontation with about 20% of his allies in the Senate that could have consequences for his administration for years. If he succeeds in getting all of the senators with hesitations to cave, then he wins. But what does he really win? Appointments. For those who don't remember his first term, people don't always stay in their position for a long time under Trump. And sure, he gets an early political win that might set the tone for more political cooperation later. But it doesn't squash the hesitations, especially if one of those nominees doesn't last in the position. But what if just a handful of those senators don't cave? He's given an order that wasn't obeyed. That means it will be easier for that handful and others to disobey him in the future. Setting that up unnecessarily this early on seems like a mistake, unless he is absolutely confident he can convince everybody. Because if he misses converting just a handful, he burns a lot of political capital before he really even starts his administration. And based on his campaign promises, he's going to need that political capital. It's interesting that he chose his first big battle with senators in his own party to be over nominations. The Senate has a constitutional obligation to provide advice and consent. That might motivate some to push back harder than they would on, say, a tariff vote or a vote on cutting funding to Department X. But it's hard to tell how much sway that aging paper has over politicians today. As we talked about yesterday, there's a number of GOP senators coming up for re-election in 2026 that need independent votes to retain their seats. If the economy rumbles as economists expect, Trump's coattails may not be long enough to ride. All that being said, you can't underestimate Trump politically. He might be successful at pushing all of his nominees through and create a feeling within the Republican Party that they're all in it together now, and no matter what, we have to stick together as the road gets bumpy ahead. Once all this is charted, Trump has just a few more days to decide whether or not he's really giving the order. He might decide to back off one of his nominations to hand senators a win, and so the rest sail through. If he does decide to give the order to confirm and throw all his weight behind it, the outcome of those votes will determine more than just confirmations. They'll set the tone for the relationship between the Senate and the president until at least the 2026 election. Anyway, it's just a thought. Y'all have a good day.